Hey, Stock Explorers, and welcome back for another deep dive. You know the drill by now. We take your suggested sources and we dig in. And today we're taking a look at Cipher Mining.
Yeah.
Um, you guys sent in some really interesting stuff, articles, financial reports, all about the world of cryptocurrency mining.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get started, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, so right off the bat, what jumped out at me was this news from January 30th about Softbank Group
Right.
making a $50 million PI/PE investment into Cipher Mining.
Yeah, that was big news.
Okay, so Softbank, that's not just anybody, right?
No.
These are the people who backed companies like Alibaba. I
Yeah.
mean, they're major players. So what does it mean when a company like that decides to put their money into Cipher Mining?
I think it's a signal that they're taking cipher mining seriously. It's a PI/PE investment.
Right.
And having a major player like SoftBank put money in really shows that they see potential in this company for growth. And it's kind of like a validation of what Cipher is doing.
So they're not just looking at this like, oh, this is a quick trend, we're going to jump in and jump out. They're looking at this like a long-term thing.
I think so. Yeah, I think they see the bigger picture.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question then.
Yeah.
Why are companies like Cipher suddenly attracting all this attention? I mean, is it just because Bitcoin is hitting new records?
I think that plays a part. But it's bigger than that. It's about the rise of blockchain technology and, all the potential that have to kind of revolutionize a bunch of different industries.
You know, it's funny. I was just thinking about this article we got about the post-election crypto boom.
Right.
It seemed like overnight, everyone was talking about Bitcoin, Dogecoin. Like it all just kind of exploded.
Yeah. And it was kind of like this big shift in public perception too. It felt like it happened overnight, but for companies like Cipher, this has been something that's been going on for a while now. They've been kind of quietly building the infrastructure.
The expertise.
The expertise, yeah, they've been getting ready for this.
So they saw this coming.
I think so.
Okay, so we've got this huge wave of interest in crypto. We've got these major players like SoftBank making these strategic investments. But what makes Cipher stand out from the pack? What makes them unique?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's go back to November 9th, 2023. There was that news about the Bitfury group, the company that Cipher Mining was spun off from.
Yeah. And didn't they sell off a part of their shares, but they still have a majority stake, right?
Exactly. So they still own over 75% of Cipher stock, which is a huge sign of confidence in the company. And if you look at the statement from the Bitfury CEO, Val Vavilov, he talks about Cipher's business model, and he specifically mentions that they have an advantage going into the next halving cycle.
Wait, hold on. Halving cycle.
Yeah.
Remind me what that is again?
Yeah, so basically every 4 years, the rewards for mining Bitcoin, they get cut in half, and this is built into the system.
Okay.
It's designed to kind of control inflation and create scarcity.
So less Bitcoin is created, which makes it more valuable.
Exactly. And this is where it gets interesting for miners like Cipher, because as those rewards decrease, they have to become more efficient to stay profitable.
Oh, yeah.
And so Bitfury is basically saying that they're betting on Cipher to not only survive this, but thrive in this new environment.
And they're putting their money where their mouth is because they're holding onto that huge chunk of stocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's dig into Cipher's business model then. What are they doing that's so different?
All right, so for this, we need to look at Tyler Page. He's the CEO of Cipher.
Okay.
And in the Q3 2024 earnings call, he talks about how they're not just mining Bitcoin, they're actually evolving beyond that. They're building what they call HPC data centers.
HPC, okay. You're losing me a little bit.
Yeah.
Break that down for me.
Yeah, no problem. So HPC stands for high performance computing, and basically these data centers are designed to handle huge amounts of data processing.
Okay.
The kind of power that you need for things like AI machine learning,
Oh, wow.
large language models, things like that.
So they're not just mining Bitcoin. They're building the infrastructure for the next wave of tech.
That's exactly it.
Wow.
It's a really smart diversification strategy because crypto is hot, but it's also volatile.
Right.
HPC is on a similar trajectory, like it's growing rapidly, but there are different risks and opportunities. And so by expanding into the space, Cipher is not putting all their eggs in one basket.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
They're betting on computing power, period,
Exactly.
whatever form it takes.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Okay, so do we have any specific examples of how they're actually putting this HPC strategy into action?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at their Q3 2024 business update, Slide 6 and 12, they've got two existing data centers, Odessa and Alborz, both 100 megawatts.
Yeah.
But the real exciting one is this new site they acquired, Barber Lake.
Barber Lake, yeah. This is the one that really caught my eye when I was reading through the materials. They're talking about a 300 megawatt capacity, which is huge.
It's massive, and it gets even better because it's already got an energized substation.
Uh-huh.
So that means they can get up and running really quickly. And this is so important because, like Tyler Page was saying in that earnings, call these hyperscalers companies with massive computing needs.
Right.
They're having a hard time finding places to put their data centers.
It's like they knew this was going to be a problem.
Exactly, like they're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Uh-huh.
And it reminds me of this McKinsey report you sent over about how hyperscalers are struggling to find these large-scale data center sites, especially with the demand for AI and cloud computing just exploding.
So they're not just riding the crypto wave. They're setting themselves up to be like the landlords of the AI revolution.
Yeah, it's a pretty bold move.
It is, but let's be real here. There are risks involved, right? What are the downsides? What could go wrong?
Well, yeah, of course, no investment is without risk. And both the crypto and HPC markets can be really volatile.
Yeah.
And remember, Cipher did report a loss of $87 million in Q3 2024. They got hit hard by that record low hash price and then the network hash rate going up, which means there's more competition in the Bitcoin mining space.
Okay, so there are definitely challenges there, but they also seem to have some strengths that could help them, like that low-cost, fixed-price power contract at 0.027 per kilowatt hour. That seems like a huge advantage.
It is a huge advantage. It shows that they're being smart with their money and they're not just throwing it around and that they have a solid base to build on.
Yeah, and they have a really strong balance sheet and no debt.
Exactly. That's what you want to see in a company that's in such a, dynamic space.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and look at the financial picture. What can you tell me about Cipher Mining Inc.'s stock price and how they're doing overall?
As of January 31st, 2025, their market cap is sitting at $2.05 billion,
Okay.
which is significant. The sales are $152.47 million, and insider ownership is at 31.11%.
Now, what does that insider ownership number actually tell us?
It tells us that the people who know the company best, the insiders, they believe in its future. They're holding on to their shares,
Okay.
which is usually a good sign for investors.
That makes sense. But it takes more than just money to build these data centers, right?
Yeah.
They need the actual hardware. The miners themselves, how's their supply chain looking?
That's a great point, and it's another area where Cipher seems to be in a good spot. They have these purchase agreements with Canaan Inc.
Okay.
They're a major supplier of Bitcoin mining equipment, and specifically for their Avalon miners. And there were press releases about this back in June 6th, 2024, and January 3rd, 2024.
So they've got a steady supply of the hardware they need to grow, and I bet that gives them some leverage, too, when it comes to negotiating prices.
Oh, absolutely. It shows that they're thinking ahead and building relationships with important players.
You know what really struck me when I was reading that statement from Tyler Page, the CEO, was his comment about Canaan helping them solve their toughest challenges, dealing with the hot environments and the frequent curtailment. It sounds like they found a real partner, someone who's not just trying to sell them stuff, but actually working with them.
Yeah, that kind of collaboration is so important in such a fast-moving industry like this.
Yeah.
It's not just about having the newest miners, it's about using them in the best way possible and adapting as things change.
So we've talked about Softbank's investment, the halving cycle, HPC data centers, Barber Lake. What's the big takeaway here for someone who's following Cipher Mining?
I think the big takeaway is that Cipher is setting themselves up to be a major player in two really big growth markets, cryptocurrency and high-performance computing.
Yeah.
They're not just chasing the latest trend, they're building something solid with infrastructure partnerships and a smart business model.
It seems like they're thinking long-term,
Yeah.
and that's a good sign. But as we said, there's still risks involved. Crypto is unpredictable, and the HPC market's getting more competitive every day. So how do these things affect Cipher's potential?
That's the big question, isn't it? I think for Cipher to really hit it big, they need to get those high-value HPC tenants into Barber Lake. If they can land some big contracts with these hyperscalers, that would give them a really solid revenue stream, even if the crypto market, goes down.
It's like they're hedging their bets.
Exactly, like not putting all their eggs in one basket.
But you said it yourself, the HPC market is getting crowded. How can they compete with the big guys like Amazon and Microsoft?
It's a tough battle for sure, but remember David beat Goliath?
But I do remember that story. Yeah.
And Cipher's got their own version of that slingshot, right? They have these massive sites like Barber Lake. They've got those amazing power contracts, and they've got the experience. They know how to deal with the energy markets, which is so crucial for running these huge data centers.
So it's almost like they're finding a back door while everyone else is crowding the front entrance.
Yeah, exactly. They're taking a different path, and that could give them a real advantage.
And it seems like it's a path that works for the hyperscalers, too.
Absolutely. They need space, they
Yeah.
need reliable power, and they need someone who gets it, who understands the industry.
Yeah, that's Cipher.
That's Cipher.
This is why I love doing these deep dives. We get to look beyond the numbers and see the bigger picture, the strategy, the potential for things to change.
For sure.
And Cipher Mining, they're looking like they could be one of those companies that really shakes things up.
I think so too. They're right at the cutting edge of all this new technology, and their story, it's just getting started.
Okay, Stock Explorers, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something to think about. What if Cipher does manage to get those big HPC tenants? Could they become a major player in the AI race?
Hmm.
And what would that mean for the future of crypto mining and for computing power in general?
It's a really interesting question.
The companies that control the infrastructure, the ones who provide the tools for the AI gold rush,
Yeah.
those are going to be the ones in control.
Absolutely. Cipher's story, it's not just about them, it's about how technology is changing and how the whole game is being played differently.
It's been awesome exploring all this with you.
Likewise.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, Stock Explorers.
Keep exploring.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Stock Explorers podcast, turn on those notifications, and give us a like. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.